I'm gonna make some stepping stones. Figured I'd put a video up, show you how I do it. I don't know if it's the same way as everybody else. I haven't watched too many videos on it because I've done this kind of thing before. I just don't have the mold I had last time, so starting over again. I'm gonna make two at a time. Piece of plywood is the bottom. It's 36.5 inches across the top. It's 19 inches across the side. You gotta have it bigger than the 16 by 16 stepping stone because you gotta have the form boards around the outside. And I'm gonna use a piece of ripped 2x6. I ripped it so it's 2 inches tall, and then the 1.5 inches for the sides, and then the split down the middle. You have to account for that when you're cutting your base. So I'm going to put a design on the bottom of it, on the bottom side of the stepping stone, and then I'll make the top just flat so that if I don't like the design after it comes out, it's no big deal. I can just have it flat. There's the pieces of 2x6 that I ripped 2 inches tall. The ones I saw at the store were 2 inches tall, and this one over here is 2 inches tall, so that's where I got my dimensions. In the store you're going to spend anywhere from $4 to $7 or $8 depending on the style. The $4 ones are just plain flat on the top, and that's what these will be on the top. It's just flat, but I'm going to cut a design in the bottom. Probably like a slate look. Maybe just have some steps, not too thick, and then I'll have to patch some holes, and I'll do something around the joints to make it nice and rounded so it pops out. I don't have to worry about rounding off the edges too much. I'm going to screw this thing together and get some silicone around the edges, and I'll get back. Before I screw it together, I figured I would draw an outline of the framework so I knew where the brick was going to be, and then I draw some lines to dig out just as a simple design. We'll see how it turns out. The design doesn't turn out very nice. I'm just keeping it on the bottom side. We're going to finish the top side nice and smooth, so if nothing else we'll have a smooth faced stepping stone. We'll go ahead and grind that out before I frame it, before I screw the frame on. That way the framework won't get in the way of the grinder as I'm cutting it. Let's see how it turns out. Can't hurt anything. So I cut some grooves in the plywood with a grinder. I went over with a sander to kind of smooth it out a little bit. The plywood was a little rough, just scrap plywood I had lying around. Then I screwed the forms around the outside and the splitter in the middle. Siliconed it up with some window weatherproofing, waterproof, paintable. I don't know if it'll work or not, but we'll find out. That'll give the edges a nice little bevel. It won't be so sharp when they come out of the mold. And I'll have to let that dry for probably a day or so in this kind of weather. It's pretty cold out here. But we'll be back at it. Spray it down with some mold release of some sort and put some concrete in it maybe the next day. Well, I found some used motor oil, sprayed it down as a release agent. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm willing to give it a try just to see what happens. I've got a trowel for the concrete for the top edge, and I found some chicken wire, cut a bunch of pieces up to stick inside the mold after I pour the concrete, kind of stuff it down in there. Help make it a little more structural. I got a couple bags of concrete. I mixed up one bag. Concrete's not a rocket science in my book. It's just a general consistency. I got a mixer here that I made, attached into my drill. Helps me mix it up real thoroughly. And pour some concrete in these things and finish off the top. You usually want to kind of kick your bucket of concrete a little bit, let it sit for a minute after you mix it, let the air bubbles come to the top as much as you can, get some of the air out of it. You're going to have to tap the sides of your form boards and kind of jostle it around after you pour concrete in it to get all the air bubbles out, or as much as you can. You don't want the air bubbles on top. If you don't want your air bubbles down on this side on the form board if you want this to look nice. So we'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. I'll be back after I pour some concrete. Well, there's some concrete poured in there. It's a little soupy. I think you can tell that in this video. I get that shadow out of the way. But I like to pour concrete a little soupy. It helps the air bubbles get up the top. Another thing that helps, you take your hammer, tap the sides. It helps those air bubbles get to the top. Now if you're pouring something like a driveway or a foundation for a house, you want to make sure your concrete's mixed right. This probably isn't mixed right, but it's a stepping stone, so I don't think it matters that much. I'm not much of a concrete guy, so I just mix it and pour it. And that's pretty apparent by the soupiness of this. I think it'll be all right. It's too soupy to finish off right now, so keep an eye on it. Wait a little while, wait till it gets a little thicker, and then we'll finish the top off, make it nice and smooth. It's been a few hours. I come back out and ended up putting my heat lamp on it. Little heat light I got here. Try and speed up the process. It's a little cold. I'm pouring some concrete, and this concrete was it's a little wet. It's a little sloppy, as they say. But it's dry enough that I got a little edge with this tool here. Come inside here and skim across, and it kind of cuts down into there. Makes a nice rounded edge. And then use a regular flat trowel to trowel off the center. They're not very expensive tools, flat trowel. They do the trick though. I'm going to put the heat light on it for another hour or so and see where it sits after that. It's been a couple days. Let these dry for a while. It's kind of cold this time of year. It's the middle of winter. I don't know if they're fully cured or not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this board over here. I'm going to set it on top. I'm going to flip them over onto that board and see if the mold wants to release from the concrete. There's another way you can make these molds. Well, there's many different ways you can make the molds. You can make it so that you can unscrew these. And I could do that, but the silicone that I went around the outside with, I'd have to redo every time. I'm going to see if I can get away from having to redo the silicone every time. So I'm going to put the board on top, flip it over, see if they come out. Hopefully they don't break. It might take a couple more days, I don't know. We'll see. So I did end up popping the mold apart. As you can see, this white silicone window weld that I used to bevel that edge. Concrete's still really green in there. That's why I wasn't coming loose from the mold. It's not even close to being cured yet. It's just too cold out. But the bonus side, I mean, this piece popped apart so easy. I didn't have to pull on it at all. So the motor oil worked pretty good for a mold release agent. I'll probably let it sit like this for another couple of days, and then I'll see if I can slide the stepping stones out of there without taking the rest of the mold apart. And I'll wait till the springtime it's a little warmer to pour more of them. You can see I actually took the grain of the plywood. I'm sure that'll go away when the concrete dries thoroughly, but the ridges are still there. Actually look pretty nice. So, hope this works for some of you. If nothing else, it's a little more information on how to make your own stepping stones. You can always go get the plastic molds from online or Walmart or wherever you want to go, but they won't be custom like these. So, have fun, be safe. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thank you.